client of mine, her partner was cheating on her with her friend. Later on, she came back to me saying, he's paying for what he's doing. His wife cheated on him. And that's how karma shows up. The universe is noticing everything.
So if a father's been unfaithful,
it will show up in your child's life. It can show up as a toxic relationship. It can show up as betrayal. It can show up as a toxic financial reality.
I really want to address the skeptics who are going to be listening. Is there something you could tell me about me?
I see your maternal grandfather coming through, and
damn. And that's what my spirit guide is telling me.
do you agree to that?
I do agree to that, yeah. I want to ask you about Nazar, or evil eye.
Nazar is real because it's scientific.
Define karmic connection.
A karmic match is basically a non-karmic match to someone where the universe does not approve of it.
What are signs that someone can look for to know if they're in a karmically connected, universe-supporting relationship?
If your lesson is self-love or self-acceptance, you will attract people who will constantly make you feel abandoned, rejection, criticism. If your lesson is to trust yourself more, you will always attract.
I want to talk about post-death, because I'm assuming that's also related.
So death is nothing but a choice or a contract between the soul and the universe. Death is never forced upon on a soul. After the soul passes away, they take about 52 days. Now, some souls immediately move into light. The universe presented an exit and the soul chose it.
Have you ever got it wrong?
No.
Dr. Tamanna,
Yes.
thanks so much for coming on. So you're a karmic coach and a psychic. Now, the West typically understands karma as this like reward punishment system. Mm-hmm. So if you can explain to the listeners and the viewers, what exactly is a karmic coach? Mm-hmm. And also the fact that you're a psychic as well, where does that come from?
Okay, so I'll start with the latter first. A psychic basically means someone who taps into the soul energy and the dimensions of the soul or energy of an individual. As humans, Kash, we are not linear, we are multidimensional. We have something which is called a physical body, our mind, our emotions, and then comes the soul energy. We are not living in isolation where the physical body is in a different energy and the soul is somewhere else. It's all coming together. So as a soul, when I tap into people's energies, I tap into their physical health, their mental, emotional patterns, behaviors, fears, insecurities, belief systems. Where is it coming from? Is it coming from a past life? Is it coming from something that happened as a childhood trauma? Is it something that a soul experienced during, while they were in the mother's womb? Is it something that happened in their first, second, third relationship or their first job? So I tap into people's energies, their patterns, their emotional threads, and their karmic, which happens on the soul level. Our soul is born with karma. Kash, as a human being, does not have karma. It's the soul that carries the karma forward, right? So when I tap into, say, your energies, I will scan your physical body, your mental and emotional belief systems, patterns, programmings, which are working for you and which are not working for you. And then I tap into what is your soul here to learn. And that's what I do. So unfortunately, people restrict the whole concept of being a psychic to just talking to spirits and ghosts and seeing, beyond what human eyes can see. Yes, there are some psychics who only tap into the spiritual world and the ghost world. But as a karma coach, I have that gift of tapping into an individual's Akashic record or their soul blueprint. And I have the ability of decoding it, right? So say, for example, what does an engineer or a programmer do? They decode. They code and they decode. They have the knowledge to decode. That's what I do. I just decode the energetic imprint of what every soul's journey on earth is supposed to be. And that's what I do.
Wow. Okay. I want to first address all the skeptics in the room. So can you just explain this decoding process? You mentioned Akashic Records, for people who don't know what that is. Mm-hmm. Can you explain what that is? And then also explain what exactly is this process of decoding for someone who's not going to necessarily understand in energies or going to understand they're very used to a scientific mind. How would you explain that?
Okay, so an Akashic record or a soul blueprint is basically a record of all your soul's journey and experiences. Of course, this is not our first life on earth. We as souls have gone through the entire process of incarnation plenty of times. And each lifetime, we start with somewhere else and we end up somewhere else. And every lifetime, we learn lessons, we build relationships, we do our positive and negative karmas. I won't say positive or negative karmas, but we go through our experiences. Some pleasant, some not so pleasant. And that record, that energetic record, is basically a sum totality of your life's experiences, your soul's journey. It could be 10 lifetimes, it could be 100 lifetimes. It goes and gets stored in a book of records. And that's what I tap into.
That's the Akashic Records.
That's the Akashic record. There is no specific way. It's just a gift. From the age of 9, I was extremely intuitive. I could hear things, I could see things. So I'm a clairaudient and a clairvoyant. A clairvoyant is someone who gets visions. A clairaudient is someone who can hear things. I don't know any better, right? Because I don't know how I developed it. I don't know how I got it. I just know that it's always been there. I did have a guru who kind of helped me tap into it and recognize it rather than just snubbing it off and suppressing my gift. I have a mom who's really helped me explore that to my fullest potential. So when I meet people, I don't need their date of birth. I don't need their time of birth. Usually when they go to an astrologer, they will take their date of birth and time of birth, and then they will pull out what we call the astrological chart.
Yeah.
And astrologers have a way to read it, right? Not everyone can read it the way an astrologer will read it. They know certain combinations of planetary positions, the impact it will create in their reality. Similarly, I just tap into their energies, and just with their full name, I just start blabbering. I just pick up the energy and I just start channeling. It's a process of channeling where you're connecting. Channeling is basically a process of you connecting, your conscious connecting to something that is higher than you. It could be your higher consciousness. It could be your intuition. It could be your super consciousness. It could be your spirit guides, ascended masters, angels, or the book of Akashas or Akashic records.
And you can tap into any of those.
Yeah.
And then channel that information down.
Yes.
For someone who is used to a very scientific world, this is basically on the belief that number one, we're souls. Number two, we go through many lifetimes.
Yes.
Number three, everything's recorded in this Akashic Records.
Yes.
And number four, there are humans like yourself who are able to channel that information to humans to be able to understand what's going on.
It's just a skill set.
Okay.
You know, when I met my husband, and initially before we got married, I was like, aren't you surprised with the work I do? And he's like, you have a skill set. How? And he's an engineer. So he's like, how I know certain things that you can't read. You know, he's like, if I show you some programming, you will not be able to decode it.
Yep.
It's the same way. From a skeptic perspective, you'll be like, oh, this is nonsense. But it exists, right? Similarly, this also exists.
It's just only certain people can read it.
Only certain people can read it.
So does that mean no one can learn to be a clairvoyant or a
clairaudient? No, of course you can learn.
Okay.
But it takes years and years and years of practice and precision. For me also, Kash, it took me almost 17 years. It took me about 15 years of personal practice before I started channeling this professionally. And now I've been in this profession for 17 years, so almost more than 32 years of experience. I started when I was 9, so almost 32 years of experience. For me, it was a gift. So for me, the foundation was laid, but it still took me 32 years to own it. For someone who's gifted can also go down that road. Or if someone wants to cultivate it, they really need to be patient with themselves.
In doing this, have you ever got it wrong?
No.
So you're right every time?
I won't say I'm right. All I'm saying is that there's always a higher power that is guiding you. There's no right or wrong. And that's something that in fact, even earlier when I said that karma is positive or negative, and I went back and correcting myself. Karma is not positive, negative. It's not good or bad. You know, there's no right or wrong. The beauty about karma is you always have a choice, and it can be changed. It can be released, it can be balanced, but it cannot be eradicated. So for example, even if I've been guided to do something and I don't do it, it's not that my intuition will give up on me. There's always a plan B to get back to the rerouting. It's like GPS, right?
Yep.
You can never go wrong with it. There's always a rerouting. And that's how life works. It's not black or white. Of course, for people who are skeptics or people who are scientific like yourself, who have this, brain of science, for them, everything is about black or white.
Yep.
But life is not black or white. It cannot possibly be, because as human beings, we are not linear. We are multidimensional. And there are layers and layers of human existence. People think mind is the same as emotions, and it isn't.
So your work goes beyond just karmic level. That's what I'm realizing. It's karmic, emotional understanding. Then you mentioned angels, I'm
the soul, yeah. The angels, yeah. So I basically read energies beyond timelines. It could have happened 10 lifetimes ago, 5 lifetimes ago, something that happened in your mother's womb, something that happened when you were 5, 20, 30. So that's the timeline. And I read energies in different dimensions. Your aura is a dimension.
Wow.
Physical, mental, emotional is a dimension. Spiritual is a dimension. Your spirit world is a dimension. Angelic world is a dimension. Timelines. Your time is also a dimension. So past, present, future in all the dimensions.
Just going back to how you decode. So the Akashic records, you've got past, present, future that exists in these records. So does that mean that when you're reading someone, so if you're reading me, for example, you can easily be able to identify what's happened in my life so far?
Yeah.
Does that take long to do?
I take about 15 minutes to channel. And usually my session, when people do a one-on-one, it's like 45-minute session. So I take 15 minutes to download information, and the rest is for the client to ask their questions. But I need 15 minutes.
I really want to address the skeptics who are going to be listening. Is there something you could tell me about me?
I see your maternal grandfather coming through. And somewhere you've always been a very confused kid. And somewhere, lack of better word, more like a headless chicken. You've only found your grounding since May 2024, and only last 1.5 years is when you've kind of got a grip on where you want to be. You were always giving into what other people wanted you to do, more like a people pleaser. But that didn't come from a space of wanting to please people. That just came from a space of not wanting to take responsibility. And there was a heartbreak where initially you never thought that your heart will break. But much later, much later, after the relationship is over, that seeking closure or that awareness has led to an awakening inside of you.
Yeah. Okay. You said maternal grandfather.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Has he passed away?
He's passed away, yeah.
So he's your spirit guide. So a spirit guide is someone, there are family members. All of us at some point lose our family members, and they can choose to be around us to guide us and protect us. So it's basically help coming in from the spiritual world.
Is there anything else in my past that you can share?
I know before we started the podcast, you did mention that you have a sister, but I also see your sister as, she's more of a mother than a sister. She's more of a mother to you than what your own mother is, because she's a mother from another lifetime for you.
Wow.
So you just, like, invariably, as much as you resist or you may not agree with her, she's like your barometer in your head. Like, you'll always somewhere give into what she says. She has a way of convincing you in ways that nobody else has.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
Do you agree to that?
I do agree to that, yeah. Okay, so you're able to just tap into this information. Like, you're just...
Yeah. And of course, a lot more. If you ask me, if I have to pick up on your physical blocks, you'll have a left shoulder spasm. The left side of your shoulder and neck is a little more weaker. So there'll be a lot of tightness in your muscles there. A lot of gut-related issues. So borderline lactose intolerance that you'll have to kind of...
I'm vegan for that reason, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. And also massive dehydration. So you need to keep having electrolytes and water, and not just water, electrolytes that will keep you going. So that is physical.
Yeah. What about everything else? Yeah.
If I have to talk about your karmic lessons...
But can you not tell me scary things?
No. This again, there's nothing scary. It's all about awareness and how you channel that information. If I have to talk about your karmic lessons, one of your biggest karmic lessons is you need to let go of guilt. And somewhere you'll end up holding on to a lot of guilt. It's like you're constantly trying to be perfect. And when you think you're not perfect, you'll end up, it spirals down into guilt. So that's one thing you need to learn. Another thing that you need to learn is, as much as you say that you're more of the scientific brain, you are very creative. You have a lot of creative energies. And there's a lot you want to do.
Yeah.
And I also see you working with children.
Interesting.
You will have a great connection with kids. So you'll have this affinity towards working with children or doing something for kids eventually. If I have to do predictions, Feb to August next year, you'll be traveling a lot. I see you going to the Southeast, Bali, Singapore, or maybe Australia. I see you traveling there Feb to August next year.
Wow.
Any plans?
Unless it's for the podcast.
Not for the podcast, but you'll go for some other work, or you might just go for exploration or doing something new. You'll go to experience something new.
What about for the podcast?
Podcast will be good. Podcast will actually pick up full-fledgedly after April next year.
That's so interesting. My astrology said the same thing.
Oh, there you go. So I get that a lot actually sometimes when I'm dealing with clients. And if I'm saying something, they're like, yeah, my astrologer said the same thing. See, your chart is the same. It's just that different people will look at it and interpret it in a different way. But the end result is the same.
What about beyond career? I don't know. Is there anything left in career to discuss?
There'll be a round of investors coming in July to October next year. You've spoken to two people, but you've put them on hold because you're waiting to develop something.
Yeah. Damn.
The person that you're supposed to be with karmically, after...
I can say, I mean, this is me personally speaking now. You got pretty much all of that correct in terms of all the past stuff. Obviously, I can't speak to the future stuff. We'll know when this gets released and in the future after that. But going back to kind of where we were at, you're a karmic coach. You decode all of this stuff. Talk to me about kind of you mentioned 44 karmic lessons. You said one of my karmic lessons is dealing with guilt. What is this? Like, explain this properly to someone who wouldn't understand this.
So karmic lessons are those virtues or those ways of being that we need to learn on the soul level. You know, every religious book talks about moksha and enlightenment and being one with God. What does that truly mean? No one's ever asked that. Do you know what I mean? What does enlightenment mean?
True.
Or what does moksha mean? It's basically vibrating at the highest frequency possible, or being one with God does not mean you become God. It just means that you're vibrating on that level. So for example, if you tell me, Tamanna, I want to become Ambani, that does not mean you want to actually become Ambani. That means that you want to generate enough of wealth that is equivalent to Ambani, right?
Yeah.
Similarly, as souls, we can't become God. We want to resonate with the frequency closest to God, which is the highest form of frequency. And in order to attain frequency or the highest vibrational level, there are virtues that we need to learn to get there. So for example, if you want admissions in Harvard, just because you want it, you won't get it. You have to learn your physics, chem, bio, literature, geography, score certain level of marks, give your entrance, XYZ, and then you'll get there, right?
Yep.
So basically, karmic lessons are virtues that we need to incorporate in our day-to-day being, in our day-to-day relationships, in our day-to-day embodiment, so that we increase our vibrational frequencies. And each and every of those 44 karmic lessons have a different vibration. So for example, when you learn the lesson of being balanced as a person, you'll be vibrating at a different frequency. When you learn the lesson of being assertive, you'll be vibrating at a different frequency. When you learn the lesson of trusting yourself, it will be a different frequency. When you learn the lesson of working on self-guilt and forgiving yourself or being gentle with yourself, your vibrations will be different. Gratitude is a different vibration. Forgiveness is a different vibration. Letting go is a different vibration. Setting boundaries is a different vibration. Being flexible. So these are all basically your lessons, and they all come with different vibrations. Notice when you see people, if you see someone who's aggressive versus someone who's assertive, the vibration of those two people is very different.
Yep.
If you meet someone who's balanced versus someone who's an extremist, their vibrations are very different, right? So do you see how these virtues
They change you.
uplift or downgrade our vibrational frequencies?
Yeah.
And what happens is when we don't learn these karmic lessons, they become blocks, and that stops you from growing. I'm sure you've heard of the law of universe is you attract what you are. So if you're operating from low, dense, heavy vibrations, you cannot attract a different high vibration job, boss, life partner, parents, or situations, right? You will attract people of those vibrational match.
Yeah.
So that is the importance of learning karmic lessons.
So what you're explaining is that there are all these virtues that every soul needs to kind of embody and develop within them. And that can happen over many lifetimes.
That can happen over many lifetimes.
And in doing that, your vibrational state increases. And as a result, your reality can shift.
Absolutely.
Because you attract based on your vibrational state.
Yeah. And also the vibrations that you collect at the end of every lifetime also deciphers your journey in the next lifetime, right? So, for example, in some lifetime, you have grown from year to year, but this was your end result and you don't reach there. In another lifetime, you not only have to cover this much, but you also have to grow even more, right? And that comes with a lot of suffering because then you attract more and more.
How would you explain this to someone who's going through the most difficult period in their life right now, feeling like the world is against them?
A, start by not taking things personally. B, ask yourself, why are you attracting this? Not from a lens of blaming yourself or making yourself feel guilty, but in asking yourself that question, try and shift your awareness to what is this situation trying to teach you. Now, what's interesting is whenever I talk about karmic lessons, the next question is, how do we know what lessons we need to learn? And in a layman's language, of course, you can't know what lessons you need to learn. You need to, I can tell you what lessons you need to learn. But if you have to shift your awareness, whatever your lesson is, you're going to attract the opposite of that. So if your lesson is self-love or self-acceptance, you will attract people who will constantly make you feel abandoned, rejection, criticism. If your lesson is to be assertive, you will only attract people who are going to be aggressive, who will criticize you, who will disrespect you, push you against the wall till the time you don't learn how to speak up for yourself.
Wow.
If your lesson is to trust yourself more, you will always attract people who will blame you. If your lesson is patience, you will always attract people who are intolerant. If your lesson is forgiveness, you will always attract people who will hurt you till the time forgiveness does not come to you easily.
So the first place we should be looking is, where is repeated suffering happening?
Yeah.
Because there's a lesson to be learned there.
Yes.
You said my lesson was guilt.
Yeah. Avoid self-guilt.
Okay. What would that show up for someone who has a lesson of guilt to learn? Like, what kind of things would show up in their reality?
You will always attract people where you don't have control over them. And then what happens is when you don't have control, you feel guilty about it.
Yeah, I can see that. That makes sense. You're saying there are 44 karmic lessons to learn, and you recognize these lessons when there's repeated suffering happening in certain direction. Can you have multiple lessons in one lifetime?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. And also what happens is, on an average, whenever I'm doing anyone's reading, and whenever I go through a list of karmic lessons, on an average, people do have a combination of 5 to 8 lessons that show up. It's never one lesson.
Okay.
It's all collectively, right? Like when we go to school, do we only go to school to learn maths? Along with math, you're learning addition, but you're also learning subtraction. And then you're learning division, and then you're learning multiplication. And then it gets more complex. So it's a combination of things. When we are studying literature, you're not only learning the language, but you're also learning literature and grammar and punctuations and a collective of all of that. So again, it's not linear. Today, for example, if I tell you that, Kash, your lesson is to be forgiving, and you may learn the lesson of forgiveness. But at the same time, if you're not detaching from people's problems, you will keep going back into repeated patterns and still feel stuck.
Can you kind of reveal, without revealing any names, any stories or experiences where you've read certain lessons so the viewers and listeners can kind of put a picture together of how this would look in someone's life?
We are all have to learn certain lessons, right? So I was dealing with a client once, and she was married to someone with whom there was no karmic connection, and she was unhappy. She was waiting for her husband to walk away from her, so much so that she would always ask me, she's like, is he ever going to cheat on me? I'm waiting for him to cheat on me so, I can get out of this marriage. And her lesson was to take responsibility. She just didn't want to take responsibility. She was hiding behind excuses, and her parents were supportive. They're like, you want to leave him? Leave him. We'll give you that support. No, but I have a child. No, but I'm not financially stable. She didn't want to be the one walking out because she didn't want to take responsibility. And I told her, I'm like, if you are suffering just because your husband, mother, father are taking the pill for you, are you going to get cured? It's the same way. And I'm like, your husband is very happy. If I'm to ask him, he does not have a problem with you. You have a problem with him. So somewhere you need to take responsibility. Until the time you don't take responsibility. And she's walked out of her marriage 4 times over a period of 22 years with like 2 years of separation. But she's not had the courage to file for papers. Because she didn't want to deal, she didn't want to be a bad mother, she didn't want to be a bad daughter, she didn't want to be a bad wife. So she chose suffering over courage. And that can be quite disarming, right? It's quite, it's not a healthy space to be in.
Okay, yeah. So that's a repeated suffering occurrence in her life, clearly indicating a lesson needed to be learned.
Yeah.
And the lesson was responsibility.
Taking responsibility or taking charge for your emotions. If you feel something is not right, only you can help yourself. Don't expect other people to make your life easy.
What about kind of wealth related? Has there been any?
Oh, many. I often see this where people take impulsive decisions and they keep getting into repeated patterns of making money, losing money, making money, losing money, or where people land up attaching themselves to other people's problems. So they make money, but then they kind of attract parasitic situations where they can't say no and they want to help other people out. And other people will keep borrowing money without returning, and they are not setting financial boundaries. So lessons can show up in areas of your career, in areas of your finance, in areas of your family, your social life. For example, if a friend is constantly oversharing your life information with people and you're not being assertive, sooner or later that oversharing of your friend can backfire, right? What is the lesson you need to learn is to be assertive. But if someone's lesson in a family dynamic is to be assertive, they will attract an aggressive partner. If someone's lesson is assertive, they might attract a situation in their career phase where someone else is taking the credit for their work till the time they don't learn to stand up for themselves and be like, hey, I did this. The credit goes to me.
Yeah.
So the same lesson can show up in different areas of your life through different people, through different combinations or situations. But the lesson is the same.
How do you know if it's a lesson to learn versus just your ego playing games? So for example, you talk about being assertive. I'm just thinking of someone who is maybe is being disrespected in the workplace, for example. Their lesson is to be assertive, which may be true, but they may feel at the same time, maybe that's just my ego getting in the way, saying that I should be more, assertive. Like how do you tell the difference if this is actually a lesson versus just my ego getting in the way?
If it's a repeated pattern, then it's a lesson. If it's an isolated pattern, then it's ego. Yeah.
So if people around you are constantly overstepping your boundaries, then it's a lesson. But
Then
if it's a
it's a
one-time
lesson.
occurrence, then
It
it
could be
could
the
just be your
ego.
ego. Okay, that makes sense. Can you explain the difference between, because I can imagine someone listening to this being like, well, if everything's pre-planned, then what's the point? So where does free will come into this? Like, how does this all kind of make sense between karma saying that you're meant to go through these lessons, you're meant to go through this suffering that we say, whatever, versus you actually having the choice and free will beyond that?
Okay, so I believe and I know that life is 50% karma and 50% choices of free will. Karma is you giving your child an A4 size paper and crayons and saying that, okay, draw on this. What the child chooses to draw is their choice of free will. Do you know what
Yep.
I mean? You cannot draw outside that A4 size paper. Now, what you draw will decipher how many marks you're going to get, right? It can be abstract. It could be distinctive. It could be just scribbling. It could be doodling. And based on that, the evaluation will happen. That becomes your destiny. Got it?
Yep.
So karma is your examination paper. What answers you give, the sum totality of that will lead to your marks. Now, whether you get admission in a local college or Harvard or Columbia or Oxford, that will become your destiny. So if you give right answers and score a 99, you may get into Harvard or Columbia or an Ivy League. But if you score 36%, will you get admission in Ivy League school or colleges? No. You have to kind of take admission in a local college. Now, won't that decipher your future? Won't that decipher the kind of people you hang out with, the quality of education, the exposure?
Yep.
The kind of friends people make in Ivy League versus the kind of friends people make in a government. I'm not trying to be judgmental. I'm just talking about the quality.
Yep.
Both will become engineers. So someone who passes out from a government university also will become an engineer or a doctor.
Yep.
Versus someone who passes out from an Ivy League college will also become an engineer or doctor. But the quality of their pay package, the quality of their work experience, where they get internship, where they become a doctor, where they get to medically practice, will decipher the entire quality of their life. And destiny is that quality. We all want a good quality. Why do we make money? It's because of quality of life, right? So on the soul level, we want a quality of ease, what we call grace. And that's what matters. Today, you can have all the money in the world, but if there's no ease and grace in your life, money will not make a difference to you. But if there's ease and grace in your life, you can make all the money you want.
How does God tie into all of this?
God, I would say, is the parent that we go back home to, whether we've scored 30% or 100%. Our parents are not going to abandon us.
I love that.
He's just there. No matter whether we keep failing, no matter what we do, bad relationships, our parents don't abandon us or disown us. So God is that healthy, in today's day and age, I have to say healthy parent because, of course, there are all kinds of parents in the world. But I would say God is just holding space for us. He's not judging us. He's not punishing us. He's not abandoning us. He's not going to sit and lecture us.
Yeah. You touched on parents and it just kind of struck me there. What about people born with difficult parents? What are the lessons they need to be learning? A difficult mother, a difficult father?
It can be all the lessons, but it will show up in different ways.
Right.
So someone who has to learn to be assertive may get a very overbearing parent. Someone who has to learn the lesson of stop seeking approval will get a very critical parent. Someone who has to learn the lesson of, say, focusing on or discerning will always get a very over-analytical parent. Someone who has to learn the lesson of, say, detaching from people's problems will get a parent who's going through a lot of sufferings. That's how they learn how to detach and focus on their lives. Someone whose lesson is to be more tolerant will get a very intolerant parent. Someone who has to learn the lesson of being flexible will get a very rigid parent.
How do you know when you've completed a lesson?
That people don't change, but how you respond to them changes. And then slowly, you just stop attracting those situations.
Correct me if I'm wrong here. Is your goal is almost to kind of observe these patterns, keep working, identify the lesson, work on yourself so that you're just continuously increasing your vibrational state over many lifetimes to eventually reach a state where you go back to your parent, basically, your healthy parent, which is God.
Yes. If I have to simplify it, it's the same thing, right? It's like, oh, we come alone, we die alone, but then why are we making so much money? Why are we making so much money? It's so that we enjoy a better quality of life on earth. Money for humans is basically what vibration is for soul. And that's all that matters.
money for humans is the vibrational state
For souls.
for the soul. More money equals a better quality of life, which is the equivalent of having a higher vibrational state for your
Yes.
soul. That's a state of gratitude, peace, love. Okay. You've mentioned already a little bit as well, but I'm curious to know, how does being a psychic and a karmic coach, how do you typically work with people when they're going through relationship problems?
Various permutations and combinations. So, for example, if someone is going through a difficult relationship, it's either their timing is weak. So I tell them that, listen, you're with the right person, but you're just supposed to be going through a difficult time right now, and things will get better. So, first aspect is the timing aspect. The second aspect is your timing can be great. But if you are not learning certain karmic lessons, you will attract repeated patterns. And not only with your partner, it could be with your parents, with your in-laws, with your children, with your friends. So that pattern will manifest in all areas of your life. The third and the most important thing is sometimes people land up with someone whom they're not meant to be with. It's out of choice. So, for example, if someone's married to a wrong person or someone who's not aligning with their karma, or there's a mismatch, or in astrology, how they say that the kundlis don't match, it will be a difficult marriage. It will be a tough marriage, and eventually it will lead to a dead marriage or a divorce. Now, in that case, one needs to choose courage over suffering. That you know that this is going to be a dead end. You take a U-turn in the first 5 minutes rather than wasting your time. Because then what happens is, in that case, is people land up blaming their sufferings on karma. And it's not, no. Karmically, you were meant to enjoy a better life. But because you couldn't stand up for yourself in front of your parents, because you couldn't let go of the person and you kept succumbing to their drama or their attachments, you got hooked into it. Every situation is either because of a low timing or a repeated pattern, or sometimes you're just misaligned with someone. Just because you love someone or just because you're attracted to someone does not mean it's a connection. And that's also, I've heard couples dating each other for 10 years, 15 years, and the minute they get married in 1 year, they go through a divorce.
Yeah.
How do you define love is very different and karmic connection is very different?
Explain that.
Love can also happen on the basis of two personalities coming together. And what happens is, when you get married, then you realize that I don't want this, I want more. Someone can be a great wife and a great husband, but not a good companion. And it only hits you hard once you're tied up into the institution of marriage, because you know that, okay, now what? This is it. And then you want more. You want a deeper meaning of life. You just don't want someone that you're going out with, partying, getting drunk and coming back, right? You want that person to be there for you when you need them. You want someone who's easy to live with. So people unfortunately misassociate love, physical attraction, or attachment as a karmic connection, and it's very different. Not every karmic connection is born out of love or an attachment. Think about it. I mean, back in the day when there was the whole concept of arranged marriage, those people have grown to loving each other. And their marriages have lasted beautifully because maybe there's a deeper karmic connection behind it.
Can you just define karmic connection for our audience?
Okay, so karmic connection is someone who supports the quality of your soul journey. So on an average, if Kash has to mentally, spiritually, career-wise, romantically, socially, emotionally enjoy karmic journey of, say, a 7 on 10, that's your karma, that you're going to get a 7 on 10. You have to attract a partner who is going to support that 7 on 10.
Quality of life.
Quality of life. If someone has to go through a quality of, say, a 5 on 10 or a 9 on 10, a karmic match is someone who will support that. Now, what happens when we don't land up with people with whom we have a karmic match? Karma wants to give you 7 on 10, but you are compromising on a 3 on 10. So somewhere you can be with the person and make the marriage work, but then you have to set your expectations right. Unmarried couples, they come to me and they are in love and I'm like, listen, you want to date the person, don't get married. And they're like, no, but I love the person and we've been together for 9 years, 10 years. Then I tell them that, okay, you want to get married, but then you will have to compromise on something. Now that compromising can be on your financial reality, can be on your family reality, can be on your emotional reality. So somewhere compromise is needed, right?
Is this because when you marry, the the karma gets intertwined.
Of course. Of course. Because everything that they're going through will affect you, right? So, for example, if the universe wants you to enjoy wealth and abundance, and you get married to someone who is not karmically connected to you or who's misaligned with your karmic match, you will only get to enjoy a financial abundance of 3 on 10 and not a 9 on 10. So somewhere you'll have to compromise.
And most people actually don't end up, unfortunately, with their...
It's a hit and miss.
Okay.
It's not that most. I've seen people more with karmic matches, but then they still come to me being in a troubled marriage because they're not learning their lessons or their timing can be bad. So if I have to kind of explain it in a layman's language, a karmic match is basically something that the universe is supporting for you. And no matter what difficult situations you go through, the universe will not let you break. The bond is so strong that you will keep coming back together. A non-karmic match is someone where the universe does not approve of it. So on the physical level, everything can be perfect. You could love each other, great physical chemistry, have the money, but the universe will break it. The universe will keep creating situations that it will break.
Because it's not karmically
It's not
destined for you.
karmically. I've seen couples where they go through a very difficult time together, be it financially, be it loyalty is tested, be it family dynamics are toxic, but they still land up beautifully together, and the end result is they enjoy the relationship because the universe is blessing that relationship. And then there are some relationships where there's a lot of love, and on the physical level, everything is fine. When you look at these couples, they're like, oh wow, they're two individuals great together, and it breaks. It breaks without any cheating. It breaks without any... People have this myth that, okay, just because you're going through a divorce means someone's cheated on someone. No, sometimes it just doesn't last. And you know what's funny, Kash, is that sometimes those two people don't even know what's gone wrong, but it just breaks.
Yeah.
And when you look back, you're like, okay, why did you ask for divorce? And like, we don't know. It just didn't work out.
Yeah.
That's the universe at play.
So what are signs that someone can look for to know if they're in a kind of karmically connected, universe supporting relationship versus a non-karmically connected relationship? Because you said that there are people who will suffer loads, but they still end up together, and that relationship is still blessed by the universe.
Yeah. So when you're in a karmic relationship with someone, pain and suffering is only on a very superficial level. It's on the very personality level, on the ego level. But when you're going through that pain, the soul still finds peace being with that person. Versus when someone is in a non-karmic relationship, on the personality level, ego level, everything can be right. But your soul is not at peace. You don't feel fulfilled. You feel something's amiss.
I come across so many people who are in toxic relationships, and they're like, but this person's the love of my life. Like, I feel like so connected to them, etc. But it's very clear. I mean, you can kind of predict it. A few years later, they end up breaking up. Yeah. So what is that? What's happening there? Because they feel connected to that person. They feel like they're destined for that person, and it's the most toxic relationship ever. What's happening there?
So if there is a deeper connection, and say sometimes it's a karmic connection, but if both of them or one of them are not willing to learn their lesson, that creates suffering and toxicity. Because on the soul level, we are all collectively connected, right? And that's the whole concept of oneness comes in. We sometimes also have to suffer while people are learning their lessons. How people around us are suffering because we are not learning our lessons? But if one person just refuses to learn their lesson, the amount of sufferings will increase. And it's also time for that other person who's suffering or who's at the receiving end to cut the cord and not attach. Because one mistake that people land up making in love or personal relationships is we land up mothering our partners, and that can be quite toxic for us ourselves. You know, we feel we have the power to fix people. We feel that we have the power to change them. Nobody but themselves have the power to change them. And that's why people hang on to a toxic relationship longer than they should, with the hope that they can fix them. First, fix yourself. We are only responsible for our programming and our energies.
And so someone in a toxic relationship, it may just be a case where the other person's not learning their karmic lessons.
Yeah.
Okay. What about when someone has been cheated on or gone through affairs or anything like that, if they got married, they checked their astrologies, it was all perfect, is it still a situation where the person who's cheated has not learned their lesson?
It can be out of choice of free will. So like I said, we all have a choices of free will. I've seen two people come together and one person is still chosen to walk out. And it's okay. But the person who's been cheated on, they have their lessons of trusting themselves, of, maybe on the soul lesson, they were meant to learn to not seek approval, self-acceptance, discernment, self-trust. And sometimes it's just about letting go and honoring other people's choices of free will. So today, say you and me are best friends and we meet for lunch every week, and say some week you decide to go meet another friend for lunch. I have to honor that choice and I need to let you go. I can't be like, no. A lot of people do that. That's why letting go is also a lesson, and also honoring choices is a very important lesson. And unfortunately, people who don't honor themselves cannot honor other people's choices. But if someone who can honor their choice, their voice, their emotions, will also be able to honor other people's choices and emotions.
I'm assuming a lot of women come to you.
Yeah.
What would you say is probably the biggest problem they come to you with, and what's probably the most common solution you end up giving out?
So again, I think more than the problem, I would say the root cause of the lesson is trusting themselves. Also being flexible. I think women land up being extremely rigid and wanting to take control, and it could be very passive control. And also prioritizing themselves. Because let's understand, Kash, how you treat yourself is how the world is going to treat you. So today, if you are not honoring yourself, if you are not prioritizing yourself, but you want to be the priority of everyone, it's not happening. Because the amount of energy you invest in yourself is what the world is going to invest in you. That's a mistake that a lot of women I see, is they prioritize others to look good or to be good, or because they don't want to be judged. And they take that, okay, if we prioritize ourselves, we'll be selfish. It doesn't work that way. You need to give yourself priority rather than depending on other people to give you priority.
Okay. Yeah, it goes back to the karmic lessons. What about men?
Men, I would say top 3 karmic lessons that they need to learn is learning to validate their emotions. I think men from childhood have been dissuaded from speaking or talking about their emotions. So I think one of the lessons is men need to learn to validate their emotions and be vulnerable without taking it as a sign of weakness. Asking for help. I don't think men have ever been taught to depend on other people or to ask for help, or even being receiving of any energy. Because when I say being open to receiving does not necessarily mean asking for help. It could also be receiving feedback, receiving advice, receiving emotional support, receiving any form of energy that comes. And the third most lesson I would say is balance. I think today on the soul level, our soul does not have a sex. Our body has sex. So, men say that, okay, we are like this because we like to compartmentalize everything. But in that whole process, they're also losing balance, right? And the soul seeks balance. So I think the third most important lesson is learning when and how to balance, when to switch off from work, when to switch off from personal lives.
Is that balance also in their masculine and feminine?
Absolutely.
energies?
The first 2 lessons where I spoke about being able to receive and validating their emotions is also a feminine trait.
And in doing and kind of prioritizing these lessons to learn, their reality starts to shift as well.
Of course. The quality of relationships will start to change.
You talk about how a lot of this happens in the womb.
Yeah.
There's so much to unpack there. Can you just explain that in high level terms before we break it down? Mm-hmm. How does this happen in the womb? What is this?
Let's understand on the scientific level, Kash, on the biological level, not scientific level, on the biological level. We as an infant are born out of one cell. It's out of that one cell or one egg or embryo, our entire 206 bones and our multiple organs are formed. Our heart, our brain, our nervous system, our digestive system, everything gets formed from that one cell. That's the power of that cell. Now, in the initial phase, the programming starts there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you've got a brand new laptop or a computer, now, of course, everything is auto-programmed. But back in the day, everything that you fed into the computer became a programming from day one, the day one you plugged it in. Our programming starts at that level. Good, bad, ugly, right? As parents, we don't know whether this is good programming, bad programming. As an infant, they don't know whether this is good. We're just feeding in emotions, information, programming, reactions, fears, insecurities. That's all programming. And when the child is born, there's still a lot of programming happening because as humans, till the age of 7, 14, and 21, we are all in the programming stage. So by the time we are 21, the programming has already happened. And that's why after 21, it gets very difficult for us to change.
Is this just on a mental level, just beliefs, limiting beliefs?
Limiting beliefs and also emotions, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's your beliefs that create your emotions. So today, as a child, they've seen their parents fight over money. The child will equate money as negative. The child will equate money as something people fight over. The child will have issues asking for money, thinking that, okay, every time someone asks for money, there'll be a fight. And then that will become their reality. So our emotions respond to the programming. Our emotions can keep changing, but it's the same programming that's there, which before the age of 21 is still flexible. We can reprogram. After the age of 21, it gets difficult. And based on what our programming is, we will attract relationships, we will attract jobs, we will attract our entire life journey. Our choices are made on the basis of that programming.
Makes sense. And you're saying that programming starts the moment fertilization happens, basically.
Yeah.
How does that translate? Because to any person in the scientific world, it's a case of the embryo develops into a fetus develops into a baby, and the baby is born. From then on, they can probably understand how beliefs can start to go into the baby because they can see it. If a baby's like constantly surrounded around bad habits, it's going to start to pick it up, for example. How would you explain to someone how a fetus inside the womb is picking up beliefs, programming from the mother and everyone around?
Because the fetus is connected to the umbilical cord. And just like, when they say that a woman's pregnant, you can't have coffee, you can't have this, you can't have wine, you can't smoke, you can't do drugs. Why? Because everything gets passed on to the baby. Right now, we are talking about physical discipline. What about mental and emotional discipline? That's equally important and more so.
Do you have any stories or experiences that you've spoken with clients about being in the embryo and having experiences?
There was a guy who just didn't want to work. He's like, I have the money and I want to do a lot of things, but I just can't get myself to doing anything because I just fear criticism. I want to work, but I can't get myself to go into office because I fear that I will be abandoned, that I will be asked to leave. And then I was like, okay, there's something, because your timing is good, opportunities are coming, but there's this nagging fear. So when we went back to his healing, and when I was doing his healing, during the pregnancy, and he didn't know this, his grandmother asked his mother to leave. And the mother had to leave the house. She went back to her parents' house for 2 months till the time and that guy didn't know. And I'm like, can you please check? Did your parents go through a physical separation? Was there a conflict? Was there some form of criticism? Because when she was asked to leave, the mother's belief system and her emotions were, no matter what I do, it's not good enough. No matter what I do, it's not good enough. I'm still abandoned. I'm still rejected.
Wow.
And that belief system came on to this child, but it only manifested in his reality by the time he was 21, 22. And that's when these programming started showing up. Because till then, we are in a very secure environment, right? Also, we don't really give people that much power to hurt us when we are younger. We are more innocent, we are more gullible. While we are gullible, we are also very, oblivious, right? And he's like, but how can this manifest? I'm like, because you are living with the fear that anything that you do, you'll be criticized. Whether you do good, whether you do bad, whether you do the ugly, you're still going to be criticized. So when you in your head are thinking that no matter what I do, I'm going to be criticized. You are choosing not to do anything because you don't want to face criticism.
Yep.
And he was just running away from his responsibilities or
Yeah.
his career.
And that all started because his mother had that.
She was asked to leave the house because she didn't do something right in the house while she was pregnant.
And that translated to him when he was a fetus in the womb.
Yeah.
Can fathers also have an impact on the child inside the womb?
Not as much. Father's behavior that can have an impact on the mother can have an impact on the womb, but not the father's energies as much.
Okay, so it's the mother
It's the mother more so.
that will impact how the child is raised.
Yeah.
And so the father's responsibility is to ensure the mother is kept
Yeah.
in the best way possible for the child.
Absolutely.
So if a father is rude to her, argues with her, her stress goes up, her emotional she becomes emotionally chaotic, that translates to the child.
You know, while mother is carrying the womb, on a very deeper spiritual level, it's the father's responsibility to hold space for safety and security for not only the mother, but also the womb.
Is that part of his dharma?
Yeah.
When I speak about the mother-child relationship and how beautiful it can be, they speak a lot about how they've grown up with terrible mothers. Mm-hmm. Is it a case where that's their programming from the womb to say something like this? Or is it the case the mother was genuinely just not great?
It can be a little bit of both. But also, Kash, here I would like to say something to the audience who feel that their mother or father, they've had toxic relationships. Just because they've given birth to us and just because they share a relationship or a mother or father with us does not make them perfect. They are also work in progress. They are also souls who come with their belief systems and limitations, and they also have to learn their karmic lessons. So it's very easy for us to judge what they could have done better. But like they say that you will only know when you become, I'm sure we've all grown up listening to that from our parents, you will only know when you become a mother or a father, which is true. And also, in generic, I think people make the mistake of putting relationships on pedestal. Just because we love someone, just because they are our parents, they are our lovers, they are our children, they are our partners, does not mean they can't be imperfect. And does not mean that they've learned all their lessons. They're all going to make mistakes. Your father, your mother could be 60, 65, 70, and they are going to make mistakes. And it is okay. Because we are not here to be perfect. And I think for those people who think of their parents imbue with a lot of toxicity, I'm not taking away that they must have been easy parents. But maybe on a soul level, you can show and reflect some kindness and compassion and hold space for them without taking it personally. So I think the day we start doing that and holding space, why do parents always have to hold space for the children? Why can't, as children, we hold space for them?
I want to talk about manifestation. Mm-hmm. How does manifestation tie into what you speak about, saying that you've got karma, you've got destiny, you've got free will? How does manifestation come into that? I'm assuming it's under free will.
Yes and no. Manifestation gets tied into the quality of what you're supposed to deserve. How it is going to pan out doesn't matter. So if someone is manifesting wealth, how they're going to make wealth is not something under our control. You may get enough wealth by either getting a great job in a corporate or by a friend asking you to become partners with them in a business. Or it could just be through inheritance, where an old family member's left you inheritance and you come into wealth. So the end result is what we should focus our manifestation on. Where is it coming? How is it coming? Controlling the process of it is the mistake people make. So let me give you an example. Do you have a cook at home?
No, I get meal plans
Okay.
delivered. Yeah.
So tell me something. When you order food online, you just order the dish. Do you call up the restaurant and say how it should be made?
No.
It's exactly like that. So today, if I go home and I want to have a cup of tea, I'm just going to tell my cook that just give me a cup of tea and just add ginger. Now, whether she's adding milk first, boiling the water first, adding sugar later, adding tea leaves later, I can't control that, And even if I try to control it, it may not turn out the way I want to have my tea. Or then, if you want to control it, then you do it yourself. Then don't depend on the universe. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because why are we trusting the universe, or rather, why are we throwing a manifestation on the universe if we don't trust it?
Yeah.
You know, it happened to me once, 15 years ago, about 12 years ago. I had a houseboy. He was my man Friday. Every time I would cook, he would look at what I was making very diligently, and he kind of got it. And if I ever told him to make it the next time, third time, once I was having a party and I told him, I'm like, just do the cooking, make this. And after every 10 minutes, I was entering the kitchen. And I was like, acha, did you do this? Ye dala? Did you put this? Kitna da? He's like, Didi, agar aapko karna hai, fir aap hi kar lo na. Meri kya zarurat hai? Which means that if you want to do it, then you do it. Then don't, ask me to do it. You do it your way. Yeah. That's how the universe works. If you are going on manifesting without trusting the universe, the chances that your manifestation will come true is bleak.
So it's an element of trust, having
and letting
clarity,
go of control.
And having clarity of the end destination. Yeah. So if you're karmically destined for something, can you only manifest within what's karmically destined for you?
Yeah.
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 How can you then identify your limits? So for example, maybe I want to manifest being a billionaire, but if it's not in my karma to be a billionaire, how will I know?
No matter how much you do in terms of work, there's only that much intensity of growth. Sometimes you may become a billionaire, but you may also land up losing all that money. I once had a client it was like a one-sided affair. For 6 years, she had her heart on this particular individual and they were friends. He was dating someone else, she was dating someone else, but she manifested him. Like she really, really like hoped and prayed. I still remember I kept telling her that you will get someone. You may get someone better, someone on par, but he's not the person for you. And for 3 years, she didn't come to me. And she came to me, for her work. And she's like, oh, by the way, I'm engaged to that guy and I'm getting married to him. And I was like, good for you. And cut to after 4 years, I didn't meet her. She didn't come to me, but she sent me a long email saying she was filing for divorce. She had a baby and how my words, and she was actually apologizing to me for not taking the guidance seriously. And she was like, I think it was my ego that wanted it. And I did everything to keep it, but it didn't last. Again, sometimes just because our ego thinks that this is the right thing for us, maybe it may not be the right thing for your soul.
So what's the right way, the correct way to manifest?
You need to be clear about your intentions. Do you want to be in a healthy, stable marriage, for example, in this case, or do you want that one particular person? What is more important? A healthy, stable marriage, you can be married to somebody else who will give you that healthy, stable marriage. If you want a particular person, you may get that person, but you may not get a healthy, stable marriage. So the intent, the clarity of why you want it or what you want. B is surrender. What do I mean by surrender? If you want a healthy, stable marriage, then be flexible with who's giving that to you. It could be through a love marriage. It could be through an arranged marriage. Don't think that just because it's a love marriage, that marriage will last. Sometimes you can meet a stranger and fall in love and still get married. And you may meet that stranger even through a matrimonial site or through a pundit or through your parents.
Through an app. Yeah.
Through an app. The third is you also need to show a lot of discernment. Sometimes we want things and we get it, but then we keep tolerating it in spite of it not making us happy with this ego of failure. And then they neglect the soul's voice.
So someone could end up with something that they've manifested,
and it may still not make them happy, but they still continue to tolerate it just to put up a front because their ego is too high for them to accept that I made a mistake.
Okay, so you should be willing to also let go of the manifestation.
Yes. More like surrender. I won't say let go. It's more to do with surrender. So it's ask for it, trust the process, and then surrender the end result.
When you're asking, is this affirmations?
It could be affirmations. It could just be a telepathic thought to the universe. It could be visualizations.
Does it need to be every day?
It can be once a day, but it has to be powerful enough. It has to come with full force and conviction and faith. You can't go on repeating an affirmation 100 times like a parrot without trust and surrender. It won't work. But you saying it just once with trust and surrender, that will work. Just knowing that you're meant to be there. Like this, before our podcast started, I spoke about certain names, and I told you also, I mentioned this line that I know it will happen. I don't know when, I don't know how, but I know it will happen. Remember, we had that whole conversation. Just that knowing that you deserve it. Now, when it can happen after 2 years, it can happen after 10 years.
You have to be okay with that.
You have to be okay with that. Not trying to control.
I think that's probably where people get stuck the most. They can be comfortable knowing that it's going to happen, but they want it to happen now.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work that way.
Is there a way we could accelerate our manifestations?
Yes, but then that comes with, again, you uplifting your vibrational energies.
So you have to raise your own vibration at the same time as have clear intentions,
Yeah,
at the same time as surrender,
yeah,
and that would accelerate your manifestation.
yes. Your vibrations also matter, right? Because, again, say if someone wants to manifest the car, but if they're not willing to work, they will only be able to manifest the car for, like, say, $100,000. But if they want a Rolls Royce, then they have to work even more harder. If they work hard, they can afford it, they may get it. So it's also your frequencies of what energies that you're investing in the universe, because the universe will give you your manifestation at the frequency you're vibrating at.
Is that how you explain people who get things without working hard?
Yeah,
I mean, working hard in the physical realm.
yeah.
Because I see tons of celebrities who've kind of just stumbled into fame. Is that karma? Is that manifestation? Is that their vibrational state? Is it all of those things?
It's all of those things. It's what I call alignment. There's no luck, there's alignment. You know, people say you're at the right place at the right time. That's alignment.
How can we be more in alignment?
It's just by looking at what opportunities are coming in that moment and making the most out of it,
Okay.
rather than allowing the ego to come and play, allowing the logical mind, the fear, the control to come and play,
So kind of being in flow.
being in the state of flow. Energy works the best. Manifestation works the best. Spiritual growth, high vibration works the best when it's in a state of flow. You know, right? Energy cannot be destructed or created. It's either blocked or it's in a state of flow.
How can we get into that state of flow practically?
By becoming aware of your blocks, because till the time you don't know what is blocking you, the flow is not going to happen. But if I have to give you a one-word answer, I would say just trust. What's the worst that will happen? And I always ask myself this, and no matter how challenging life gets, I'm like, what's the worst that will happen? There's no situation in this world. There is no person in this world who can take my life and my last breath away from me except for myself and God, which is true. We're all going to lose our parents. We all may have a long-lasting marriage or not. We don't know. We will all at some point lose loved ones. But just because you're losing a loved one to a situation or to life, does that mean we're going to drop dead? There is no amount of betrayal, no amount of financial loss, no amount of family loss that can take my life away from me. And knowing that and embodying that power, I know that I have the ultimate power. So I don't give people, situations, that kind of power. What's the worst that will happen?
Yeah.
I will have to restart again. But does that mean I drop dead? No.
And so you just got to have trust.
You just have to have trust. Self-trust.
Self-trust.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Because I think many people would start to, say, for example, someone wants to manifest $1 million in their business. They would start to trust the externals that it will work out. But what you're saying is you have to trust yourself.
You have to trust yourself that you deserve it. You have to trust what you bring to the table.
You don't trust the branch isn't going to break. You trust your wings to be able to fly.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about Nazar or evil eye. How does that come into this? What exactly is that?
Nazar is basically nothing but a prick in a balloon. What happens is all our life or in situations, we keep accumulating things, right? We keep accumulating wealth. We take good care of our body. We accumulate a certain kind of lifestyle. And the more information that you're sharing to people, or the more you open doors to people, the more power you're giving people to affect your reality. And Nazar is just that. So, for example, I've heard couples say that every time I post a picture with my partner, the next day we'll end up having a fight. Or every time I tell my friends that I'm going to travel or I'm going to get promoted or I'm going to see a guy to get married and something just doesn't work out. Because you may be sharing information with people because you love them and because you trust them and your intention is right. But not everyone's intention around you may be right towards that particular thing. And even the slightest negative thought, even an iota of insecurity, jealousy, sometimes even concern. They say that nazar does not always have to be negative in a way that it doesn't always have to come from a space of harm. Sometimes it can also come from a space of concern. But anything that is of low vibration can completely dissolve that energy of high vibration. So, for example, if I tell my mom, say I'm going for skydiving, and I tell my mom that, Mom, I've enrolled myself for skydiving and I'm going. And she's like, oh, but take care. But there's so many accidents. But what, you have a back pain, is it important? And boom, my skydiving lesson might get cancelled or the weather may not be good. Not that she holds negativity towards that, but it's concern, right? It's lower than the vibration of my excitement and my passion to do it, right? That is good enough to dissolve it. So nazar is basically any external energy which is lower than the vibration of the vibration you hold, because energy always flows from a high to low. So the more you're opening up your personal life, your thoughts, your ideas, your professional life, your love life, your financial reality to people, and if people do not hold high frequency, which of course they may all have their own thoughts about it, their own judgments about it, it will release and it just won't happen.
Wow.
So that's why I say that nazar is real, because it's scientific.
Yep.
You learn that in science. Energy flows from a high vibration to a low vibration. And if you do not protect energies, anything and everything in the reality can deplete you.
Yeah.
When we turn on the AC, why do we close all the windows and doors?
To preserve it.
So same is for anything good that's happening in your life. To preserve the vibration of it, the positive vibration of it, it is important to be private and discreet.
What about people who need to talk about what they do publicly, right? Content creators, educational authorities, influencers, celebrities. These people need to be in the public eye.
It can be controlled. They don't have to share everything. So, for example, if someone is a fashion influencer, they can talk about fashion. Every time they're stepping out, they can blog about what they're posting. But they don't need to post if they're going to buy a house, if they've invested in a business, if they've invested in a startup, if their partner's given them an expensive gift, if their partner's booked them for a spa. They don't need to know all of that. So there are certain things you can keep private. It's just a choice you have to make. And you're not obligated. Like, I share so much of content on my social media, but I don't post personal pictures. I'm out and about 4 times a week. I like to travel, but I'm not posting that in the face of people, because I know that people are following me for a certain quality and a certain kind of content.
Yep.
They don't need to know what I'm eating, where I'm going, what I'm wearing, what my husband, my friends have gifted me, where am I partying, who am I hosting, etc. So, like, for example, I will talk about, hey, I'm doing a new podcast, excited for it. But till the time it's not released, I will not share with whom, why, what, where. So I can control the information I'm giving.
Yeah. So you almost need to assess the room that you're in and the vibrational frequency that they're at.
Yeah.
And that's what you choose to share.
Yeah.
So if a bunch of people are following you because of the content that you share, you stick to that.
Yeah.
But if you start sharing things about your personal life that are different from the vibrational frequency of your audience, that's when you expose yourself to nazar.
Of course.
And I'm thinking of, like, beyond social media, someone's just got married. You share those pictures with your family who are so happy for you. There's less chance of nazar.
Yeah.
But you share that with the rest of the world where the vibrational frequency doesn't match.
Yeah.
You expose yourself to nazar.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah. When I got married, there were 13 people for my wedding. Of course, my immediate friends knew I was getting married. but I didn't share it on social media. After my marriage, in my wedding outfit, I went live on social media and I shared the news and I introduced my husband. Till then, no pictures, nothing. When I was pregnant, besides few friends and family, I didn't post any pictures on social media. I just announced that I've delivered a baby. And then after that, I posted my pregnancy pictures. So it's up to you how much information you are going to share. Now, my followers are not going to stop following me just because I'm not sharing my personal life information. They are there with me for a certain content that I'm posting. And as long as the content is coming, it's fine. They don't need to know what air I'm breathing and what am I eating every day.
Yeah.
So it's up to you, you know.
Yeah. I read somewhere that nazar happens when you are trying to get validation from everyone.
True.
Is that true?
Absolutely true. How many likes, how much attention you want. But not every kind of attention is positive.
Does this mean that someone can manifest something bad for you?
Yeah, I won't say manifest something bad for you, but even jealous, right? Oh, I want what she has. It's a low vibrational frequency. So that's good enough to completely take your energy away. It's like a balloon, right? No matter how big the balloon is and no matter how dense it is, even the smallest of safety pin or a pin is good enough to burst it.
Yep.
That's exactly what happens with nazar.
3 pieces of advice that you would give to protect yourself against nazar.
A, be discreet. The second advice I would give is protect your energies. Because in the world that we are living in, Kash, everyone wants to spiritually grow and everyone is growing. Everyone's becoming extremely conscious about their energies. Everyone's becoming very vibe conscious. Everyone wants to vibe at a higher frequency. They're getting into mantras. They're doing manifestation techniques and journaling and healing work and meditation. Why are you doing that? You're doing that because you want to uplift your vibrational energies. But again, if you're uplifting your vibrational energies, but you're not protecting it, it will get depleted in no time. Third is, I would say, sometimes we all feel that draining energy. Have a salt water bath, do a white light protection, listen to a mantra that will uplift your vibrational energies. So there are techniques that you can, chalo nazar, even if you attract nazar, there are ways that you can still uplift your vibrational energies and protect yourself. But you can't go into the loop of sharing information and then doing energy protection and share. You can't bypass.
Yeah.
You have to learn to zip your mouth.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
You speak about protecting energies.
Yeah.
How do we protect energies? I mean, I've heard like sex, for example, like in today's day and age, like casual sex is a normal thing.
Yeah.
And apparently like energies get zapped in that way. Is that true?
It is absolutely true. Your sexual parts, your reproductive parts are the most potent part of our being. It has the power to create life. That's how powerful it is. And when two people come together, when they get into a sexual relationship, they are coming with their sum totality of energy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when two people exchange energy through a sexual connection, it's the most potent. That can also affect you, which means if you're constantly engaging with someone who holds a certain frequency, you will start making that frequency a part of your being and that becomes your frequency. Why do you think you must have heard of this? Not belief. It is true that when husband and wives live together for a long time, they start looking like siblings. Because there is so much of energy transformation that's happening, or there's so much of energy transmitting that's happening, that they pick up, they start liking each other's patterns, they start talking like each other, and it happens to in almost all our intense relationships, right? Yeah. Even if you're dating someone for 8 years, 10 years, you start speaking like them. You like everything they like.
Yeah.
So it's true, the activity of sex or the engagement of sex, that you can absorb even the negative belief systems, you can absorb negative patterns, you can absorb addictive behavior patterns. I once had a client of mine who was a teetotaler, and she was dating this guy who was an alcoholic. And 4 months into the relationship, she started actually consuming alcohol, which was too much for her. So for someone who's not touched alcohol, to having 4 to 5 drinks 4 times a week was extreme. But it all happened because she was sexually engaging with someone who is an alcoholic.
Wow.
And the same goes for something positive. When you are engaging with someone who's into meditation and spirituality and healing work, even you start picking up those energies. You start picking up those belief systems.
So you got to be very careful.
You have to be very careful.
So for people who cheat, who are in a relationship for long term
Yeah.
and then sleeping with other people, I'm assuming their energy's all over the place.
It's fragmented and it's sad, but that's just become the reality of today's relationships, right? Whether you're married or even if you're in a relationship and if you're cheating, it's more like you're choosing approval over courage. Or it's easy to blame the lack of something on your partner than to take responsibility to do something about it and ethically come out of it and then engage in something. Because it's not bad karma. I'm not here to judge. But every choice has its repercussions. And it may be a short-lived affair or it could be a long-term affair, but it will have repercussions. It will have energetic repercussions. It leads to a lot of karmic imbalance. It leads to a lot of emotional distortion. And more than anything, you're just being inauthentic. You're being inauthentic with yourself because you're saying something else, you are doing something else, and you're thinking something else. So you're living in a marriage and saying that your husband and your children are priority, but you're doing something else, and then you're thinking something else.
Yep.
So you can't be having sex with your spouse and thinking about the person you're in love with. That's absolute inauthenticity. And what happens is, it's not only the personality or the heart that gets broken into two pieces, that diverges. It's also your soul, right? Because you're confused.
Yep.
It's like forget a brain fog. It's like a soul fog. You don't know what is real for you. And then you start living in your own bubble and you start projecting, your emotions onto your reality. Initially, it can be quite safe because it's temporary pleasure. But the challenge is whatever lessons that you've escaped learning from your spouse, you will also attract that in the new partner that you're involved with. And then all of a sudden, the new partner becomes toxic. And then you want to run back to your spouse. And that happens a lot, unfortunately.
Because they've not they've not faced the challenge head on.
Yeah.
They've just tried to escape it. So
Yeah.
it's just going to keep happening.
And more than anything, on the soul level, and I purely talk on the soul level without any judgment attached, you are dishonoring your choice. You chose to get married to a person. Every single day, you are choosing to live with that person. And then you are dishonoring your own choice. And if you are disrespecting and dishonoring your own choice, how's the universe going to respect you in any way or your choices in any way? Because like I said very early on in the podcast, is that how you deal with yourself, the energies that you invest in yourself is how people and the universe will respond to that.
Yep.
So if you are living in disrespect of your own choices, then you are expecting your spouse to respect you. You're expecting your children to respect you. You're expecting your other partner to respect you. That ain't happening. And more so ever, the universe won't take you seriously. Because you're confusing the universe with your words, actions, and your thoughts. Yeah.
You're out of alignment.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that would also affect your manifestations.
Of course. Of course.
So if you're cheating, you basically can't manifest.
I won't say that. You can manifest, but that manifestation won't make you happy because all the money of the world and all the fame of the world is not going to help you align. There's a misalignment within yourself. There's not a misalignment in your reality.
Right.
So your energies will create your reality. If you are always confused and if you're being inauthentic, everything in your reality is going to be inauthentic.
What's the karmic consequences of cheating?
Number one, you will just, like I said, inauthenticity. After the affair is over, whether you're back to your spouse or whether you've separated from your spouse, you will continue to attract emotionally unavailable partners because you've not been available to your own emotions. Number one. Number two is you lose the power to discern. And that's a very powerful one because say if you've been married or you're married and you're cheating on your partner and you let go of the affair and you go back to your spouse. And say your spouse is misbehaving with you. Your spouse doesn't know about your affair, but it's ended. And your spouse is disrespecting you, criticizing you, misbehaving with you, projecting on you. You will tolerate everything because of your guilt. And you will lose the power to discern what you deserve, what you don't deserve. And you'll suck up to everything just because you've lost your power to deserve what is right or wrong. And third is, it's like I said, it's a brain fog. You will always be in a state of confusion because you will not know who you truly are. Are you who you are when you're with your partner? Are you who you are when you're with your spouse?
Your mistress, yeah.
So there'll be a complete, like I said, the word soul fog. You lose the power to know yourself. And then it's back to basics.
Earlier in the pod, you mentioned how karma travels through multiple lifetimes.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a consequence in their next lifetime
Of course.
from cheating?
Absolutely. Because then they will attract a partner who will abandon them, who will reject them, or who will break their trust in some way or the other, because that's what you've sent to the universe. So, people associate karma with something that we are doing to people, and we feel that, okay, if this person is not noticed it, I won't have to pay for it.
Yep.
The universe is noting everything that you're putting into the universe. So, they say that character is what you do when no one's watching. That is true. The manifestation of cheating may not necessarily be in a personal relationship. It could be in another lifetime. It could be business partnership.
Right.
But someone will still make you feel that pain of betrayal.
Yeah. So I got cheated on. So for context, I've been on both sides of the spectrum. Like I used to cheat a lot and then I got cheated on. I spoke to an astrologer after I got cheated on and he actually said to me that in my chart, I was destined for betrayal at that said time.
Yeah.
Because of something I did in a previous lifetime. So I guess this aligns with what you're saying that if you've done something in this lifetime, you're going to pay for it.
And now you will pay for everything. If you've helped someone in this lifetime, you will get the same help in some way or the other. If you've been aggressive with someone in this lifetime, if you've disrespected someone this lifetime, the same will follow. So the emotion and the energy will follow. Those same people may not come back to disrespect you or betray you or become aggressive with you, but the energy will follow. And that's why initially I said that karma can only be balanced or released. So if you've given something into the universe, it needs to be balanced. The same intensity will come back to you. The good, bad, ugly.
Have there been experiences that you've had with clients where they've cheated in a previous lifetime and it's shown up? I just want to give the audience and listeners kind of a practical view of how that shows up from a previous lifetime to today's lifetime.
So I had a client of mine and she got cheated on quite young. And her partner was cheating on her with her friend. And of course, they kind of parted ways and the partner got married to her friend. And when she came to me, she was distorted. And then later on, she came back to me saying, he's paying for what he's doing. And I was like, why? What happened? Why do you say that? And she's like, no, because his wife cheated on him. And though they're still married, like he's made losses in business. And from like a villa, he's come down to like living in a 2-bedroom rental apartment, so, and that's how karma shows up, right? Because again, the universe is noticing everything. Everything you put out, you get multifold of that. And the world that we're living in right now, the energies are so fast-paced, the energies are so intense that the good you send out to the universe comes back to you with magnitude, but so does the bad. And that's how it may be manifested, in his life, where rather than carrying it forward in another lifetime, he's had to balance that karma and that pain in this lifetime.
But some people may have to carry it into the next lifetime.
Yes.
Narcissists. What's the karma behind being a narcissist and dealing with a narcissist?
So narcissist is someone, in terms of dictionary, someone who wants full control in a layman's language. Of course, a psychologist or a psychiatrist will have a different take on it, but just keeping it to a surface level, a narcissist is someone who cannot let go of control and wants to control everything. And at some level, Kash, whether we may admit it or not, we all are on the narcissist spectrum. Every single person is on the narcissist spectrum. We all want control because it's our safety, it's a security blanket. And narcissist it's basically the survival mechanism, their coping mechanism. They feel safe being in control. Now, if you are a narcissist, your karmic lesson is to let go of control and again feel safe even in the unknown and self-trust. If you're dealing with a narcissist, the karmic lesson behind that relationship is you need to stop seeking approval, because a narcissist will never approve of you, will never put you on a pedestal. Even if they put you on a pedestal, it'll be very short-lived. So one minute they will make you feel like you're the most special person for them, and the other minute they'll pull you down and disrespect you and make you feel like you're nobody. The second lesson you need to learn is you need to stop fixing them. I've seen a lot of relationships where their partner is a narcissist, but like either my clients or they'll end up taking too much of responsibility for fixing them, for changing them. They get too attached. They'll end up mothering them too much. And again, like I mentioned very early on, that no one can fix anybody, let alone fix anybody. You can't fix your own self. It takes a lot for us as individuals to learn our own karmic lessons. How can you teach? Today, a parent cannot teach their child how to learn their karmic lessons.
Yeah.
So whether you're dating a narcissist or you're married to one, or if you have parents or children who are narcissists, or a mother-in-law or a daughter who's a narcissist, you can't fix them. You need to set healthy boundaries. And boundaries, unfortunately, people think boundaries should be towards people. Boundaries are towards people's behavior. People, in the lieu of setting boundaries, they cut away from people, which is a wrong thing. So I think these are the lessons that one needs to learn if at all you've attracted a narcissist partner or a person in your life.
Just on this topic, a toxic boss, would that be the same situation? Like someone's going through terrible time at work, hates their boss, hates their job. Is it that they need to, again, just learn what you just mentioned, the ability to discern, the ability to, trust themselves, all of these other lessons? Or is it kind of more high level than that?
It's more deeper than that. You can attract a toxic boss if, say, your cycle is low. Now, suppose, Kash, like I mentioned, say your career cycle is low for 4 months. During those period of 4 months, no matter whom you're working with, it could be a guest, it could be a technician, it could be an investor, it could be anyone else, they will cause drama and trauma for you because your timing is weak. The second thing is, sometimes you could just be stuck in the wrong job. So if it's a repeated pattern where every job you attract a toxic boss, then it's a pattern. The pattern is either you're taking things too personally. Now, people are who they are, right? Now, if there's someone who's a boss or who's an authority figure, of course, he is going to be a critic. He cannot just let anything pass. He cannot compromise on the quality of work. And if he's being toxic or if he's holding a high standard, he's going to have that towards everybody, not only you. So you need to stop taking things personally and just take that person for face value, that this is how this person is and this has got nothing to do with me. The third thing is, now if this person is good for everybody or good to everybody, but only creating problems for you, then which means you're at the wrong place. I've seen that many a times. I once remember I was dealing with a client of mine where she was in a corporate job and she was unhappy. Every 18 months, she was changing her job. There was politics, someone else taking credit for her work, XYZ. And when she came to me and when we were doing her reading, I was like, in terms of career, you should be in the creativity field. And she's like, no, I'm a banker. And I'm like, but finance will not suit you. You need to do something in the creativity field. And she's like, yeah, but I can't. I need to make the money. I'm like, yeah, but you'll make more money in the creative field because according to your karma, your career path is also chosen, what you will align with and what you won't align with. So sometimes if the boss is toxic only towards you and good with everybody, that means you're just in the wrong place. And you need to reevaluate your choices. So it can differ. It can be from person to person, situation to situation.
You touched on this, like how karmically you're also destined for certain careers.
Yeah.
And you'll make more money in certain areas versus other areas. For someone who doesn't have access to you, how would they figure this out?
I would say that do something that brings you joy. When something is meant to you, you will keep attracting people, situations that will keep repeating the same thing in a way that, sometimes you meet people, you could be a banker, but sometimes you meet people saying, oh my God, you're so good at fitness. Why don't you start consulting us? Or you maintain such a healthy lifestyle. Why don't you become a coach? And you're like, no, I haven't studied that. I'm in a corporate job. That's what I'm doing. That nudge sometimes from people around us can be like a message or an intuition. Number one.
Universe.
Yeah. Number two is opportunities will start coming. When I say opportunities will start coming, I'll give you my example. People think that I chose this career path. I didn't. This chose me. By the time I was 16, I was already initiated as a psychic. But back in the day, being a psychic or being a spiritual coach or a karma coach was not even heard of. Like I'm talking about 17 years ago in a place like India, right? So I finished my education. I started designing. I had my own label for 3-4 years, supplying all across India. I've done exhibitions. So I was happy, but I used to write a lot. And back in the day, there was no Instagram, there was Facebook, and there used to be these Facebook notes. I'd written a poetry on Mother's Day, and some Facebook friend or, said, you write so well, why don't you write for the Speaking Tree column? And I was just 22, 23, and I was like, what's that? And they're like, a Speaking Tree column is the Times of India column, which talks about intense spiritual, philosophical stuff. And I was like, why would they publish my work? And this lady is like, this is the editor's email address. I've told her about you. And that time WhatsApp was not there. Please email her your work. So I attached very naively, okay, hi, I got your reference. This is my work. Would you be interested in? She's like, I sent her 3 articles. And she's like, the Mother's Day, we've already got a poetry. But I like this article on angels and spirit guides. I'm publishing that. And I said, okay. And I was like, very naively, I was like, when will it get published? So I keep a check on, when the print is going to be out. And she's like, usually our wait time is 6 months. But I love your article so much that it'll be published in 3 weeks.
Wow.
That article got published. I still remember I had my Yahoo email ID at the base of the article. I had 600 emails in less than 10 days. And I had a boutique, I had a store. And the next thing I know is I get calls that we want you to do a workshop on angel therapy. We want to know more.
Wow.
We want to learn more. There's a group of 40 people in Delhi, and I lived in Bombay. And the next thing, I'm flying to Delhi. I land, there's a group of 40 people. I'm 23. They're all like 35 to 50 plus. And I'm just guiding people and doing workshops. And then slowly, from workshops, it became to personal sessions. And it just sucked me in. And then there came a point where I was like, I had to choose between my passion and this. And I chose this. And so coming back, one needs to be open to it. One needs to be able to go with the flow. Not Trust. Many... there comes a lot of fear, but one needs to kind of have that trust that you will pull through. Again, what's the worst that will happen?
I want to move on to talking about health. You mentioned in another piece of work about being overweight, being linked to karmic programming in the womb. Maybe I've said that wrong, but I'm curious to know a bit more about that.
No, so weight can actually, the root cause of weight issues can be many factors. It could be genetic. It could be your relationship and programming with food. So if you're constantly saying that, oh, even if I smell food, I put on weight. If I drink water, I've heard that a lot. That even if I drink water, I put on weight. Or if I eat carbs, I put on weight. If I have alcohol, I put on weight. You're programming your brain that the minute there's carbs in the system, the minute there's alcohol in the system, the minute there's XYZ in the system, it needs to be converted into weight. And some people don't put on fat. They just put on weight on the weighing scale. Because you're programming your mind to convert X is equal to Y. So if food is equal to fat, your body will produce that. So it can happen on the womb level, or it can happen even on the very conscious level.
Is this the same for all diseases, diabetes?
Depends from person to person. Again, in certain cases, it can just be genetic. In certain cases, it can be an emotion. In certain cases, it can be karmic, that karmically you're meant to go through diabetes so that you inculcate more discipline and balance in your life. Cancer can be genetic in certain cases, like karmic in certain cases, and physical in certain cases. So every disease can either be a physical manifestation where with treatment, it can get cured or it will be under control, or an emotional, where that if the emotion or the root cause of emotion gets cured, the disease also gets cured. And third is karmic, where if something is karmic, it's something that you have to live with and something that you have to die with. You can't change that. You can control it, but it won't go away.
You're saying that if someone has a disease, obviously there's genetic diseases, etc., but there's also a chance that the disease could be because of their emotional level.
Yeah.
And they need to work on their emotions
Yes.
to solve the disease.
Yeah.
Is there an example that you can share, like a client story or something like that, for people to have an understanding of this?
I had a client of mine who was throughout her growing up life, was sexually abused by her own brother. And at that point, she didn't realize. And she came to me when she was 62. And she had third stage cancer, breast cancer. And she's like, I've gone through so many chemos. I have got surgeries done. It keeps coming back. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not on the karmic level. It's on the emotional level. Because she grew up as a woman holding on to so much of anger, so much of bitterness, and so much of resentment towards her feminine energy that it manifested in form of hormonal imbalance, which is so aggressive that led to breast cancer. So that breast cancer was basically all the anger and resentment that she was not only holding on to her sibling, but also towards her being a feminine. Because in her head, she's like, if I was not a woman, I would have not faced this. Very seldom I hear men talk about being molested or sexually abused.
Yep.
It's the women. And that's how it manifested. Because she would get cured, but it would keep coming back. And I was like, no, it's not on the physical level, but it's not on the karmic level either.
These stories are quite helpful to kind of understand your world. Mm-hmm. So what about someone going through infertility problems? Mm-hmm. Do you have a kind of story case example of that?
It can be fear of responsibility. It can be fear of losing freedom. When either a male or a female associates having a child with losing freedom, losing space, losing their life, it can equate to infertility in some way or the other, because somewhere you're blocking it. Also an imbalance between the masculine and the feminine. And unfortunately, in today's day and age, even the younger generation, especially common with females, are, and I don't mean to be a sexist here, I'm just saying that this is what it is. And even men, they go through a lot of fertility issues irrespective of the biological clock, is because there's an overdrive of masculine in feminine energies and an overdrive of feminine and masculine energies. If you see, there are a lot of men, unfortunately, women are criticized for being too much in the masculine. But even men also operate from a lot of feminine energy, being commitment phobic, running away from responsibility, playing the victim card. I see more men play the victim card these days. You know what I mean? So, right, so it can be an imbalance of the masculine and feminine in either the male also or the female also. And that can manifest in form of infertility.
I want to talk about angels and post-death, because I'm assuming that's also related. Yeah. Where do we start on that?
Let's start with what happens when someone dies.
Yeah. What happens when someone dies then?
So death is nothing but a choice or a contract between the soul and the universe. Death is never forced upon on a soul. The soul, an opportunity is presented. It's like a portal that opens. And if the soul wants to choose to die or exit from earth, they take it. The universe does not interfere with it. And we all get 5 exit points. Exit points are the portals or the opportunities to leave earth. Now, the next question is, why will someone want to leave earth? It's because earth comes with a lot of suffering. It's a very dense vibration. It comes with your responsibilities, finance, pain, physical suffering, XYZ baggage. So when people go through early deaths and people say, oh my God, what he or she has done to deserve this? It's the universe presented an exit and the soul chose it. People associate death with suffering. People associate death with physical health or old age. No, it's not necessary, number one. Number two is, I've heard of cases where, or was there any mishandling from the doctors? Or was there any negligence? Or was there foul play? No. Even if you take someone to the finest of hospitals and the most expensive of hospitals, there's no guarantee that the person is going to live.
Yep.
And you could be going to the cheapest of hospitals and the person may come out happy and healthy.
Yeah.
So death is something that the soul chooses. So we need to stop thinking of it as an external old age suffering effect. Second is, after the soul passes away, they take about 52 days to move. Now, some souls immediately move into light.
Okay.
Some souls are still clearing their baggage, energetic baggage, right? Let me give you an example. If you've traveled for 30 days and come back, you'll just want to rest for 3-4 days. But if you've been traveling for 6 months and you come back, you might just want to rest for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 5 weeks. That's how it works. If your lifetime is expanded, where say you've lived till 90, you've lived till 95, you will need more time to move into light to release your exhaustion, soul exhaustion. If you've had a short life, you may move into light immediately. If you've had an easy life, you will move into light immediately. If you've had a life filled with suffering and pain, it will take you that much time to cut those cords of pain. So each soul moves into light, but at a different speed. And also in the soul realm, once we go back, we go and reunite with our soul group. You can go and meet your parents from that lifetime, your children from that lifetime, your spouse, your friends. So you go back to your soul families or soul groups. And again, from there, you're doing the same work that you're doing here. You're growing in vibrations. You're reevaluating your life. See what you should have learned, where you could have, made amends, what wrong you did, what right you did. And based on your frequency, you have the power to choose whether you want to incarnate or not incarnate. So I've said this in my work earlier as well, but I'll repeat myself. Today, before exams, your board exams and your final exams, we all get study leave, right? Now, if you're a top scorer and you've scored well throughout your term or throughout the year, and you tell the teacher that, can I study at home? The teacher will allow you to do that because the teacher knows that you're a sensible, responsible being and you're capable of learning these lessons at home. But if you've been a naughty child, if you flunked, if you failed, if you've not done your homework on time, you've not submitted your projects on time, you will be compelled to come to school and study under the supervision of your teachers so that there's more scope for improvement and growth.
Yep.
So if you're a soul of a high vibrational frequency, you can choose not to come back on earth. But if you're a soul who's of low vibrational frequency, you have to come back on earth because that's the school of a soul. But the beauty is, in the soul dimension, there is no time. So if someone has passed away for 50 years or 100 years or 20 years or 15 years, on the soul realm, they are beyond space and time. Yeah. So it may mean nothing to them. So it's not compulsory that you passed away 50 years ago, so you have to come back on earth. So that's what happens life after death.
If they don't choose to incarnate, what happens then?
They keep growing in high vibrations by helping souls here.
That's angels.
Spirit guides.
Spirits guides.
Yeah. Angels have never been born in human form. They are angelic beings. Spirit guides are those who've lived in human form and who are helping people.
Ah, okay. And everyone has spirit guides?
Yeah.
And they're family, ancestral connections, or they can be
It
anyone?
can be ancestral and family connections, your soul group. So, for example, like sometimes I deal with clients and I'm like, oh, your great grandfather or your grandfather is your spirit guide. And they're like, yeah, but we've never seen them. And I'm like, doesn't matter because you're a part of their lineage. They can still choose to be around you. It's sometimes they are looking out for you.
So, but it's always ancestral.
It's always ancestral, soul group, basically.
Okay.
So
everyone has one ancestor at
least, yeah.
One ancestor.
Sometimes I see a combination of 2, 3, depends from person to person.
And how are they helping?
Through intuition, through guidance, through energy protection. You know, sometimes in our dreams, we see them visiting. They might just plug in a thought and you wake up that I need to do this. It's like that. And sometimes they may not be able to directly help you. Say if you are blocked as a person and you're not getting their message, they might find someone around you who will convey that message to you.
So it could be through intuition or it could be through someone else, but you'll receive messages and you got to take, how do you know if it's your spirit guide then versus just anything else?
With a spirit guide message or an intuition or any message from the universe in whatever form it's coming through, it feels light. No matter how scary it is, it comes with a sense of lightness. And it's beyond logic. The first thought is always the intuition or the guidance. Whenever the if and but is there,
That's logic.
that's logic or your ego playing up. Or whenever you're acting out of a space of fear, there's the if and but coming up, or the logic or your ego coming up.
You mentioned angelic therapy.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's that?
Angel therapy. So basically what happened was, I have to be very honest with you. So when I started my career, I always knew I was a psychic, but I also knew that the world, especially in India, the community where I was living, and was not ready for the term psychic because it came with a lot of negative connotation. So I kind of, not portrayed, but I used the term angel therapy to soften the blow.
Okay.
So I was basically doing psychic readings, but angel therapy becomes a softer word and more easy for people to associate with.
Yeah.
The minute I told people I was a psychic, or you talk to spirits, you talk to ghosts, you do tantra, you do black magic.
Okay.
But it's not that.
It's not that.
I mean, none of this conversation is about any of that.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, the term psychic has been misread and misassociated.
When channeling spirit guides, like I'm curious to hear some more stories from your end in terms of dealing with clients. Has there ever been any interesting or intriguing experiences that you've gone through when having to speak to spirit guides and giving advice to a client? Has there been anything like that?
Oh, yeah. So many interesting conversations. I'll just talk about a very recent one. I had a client of mine who lost her mother. And I was like, your mother's coming through. And the message that she has for your father is she has forgiven him. And she's like, yeah, but why has she forgiven him? I said, that's the message I've got. I don't know what it is. Just convey it to your father. And she kept going back to that. She's like, yeah, but my father's really kept her like a princess and no. They had a good marriage. And I was like, your father's carrying some guilt, and ask him not to feel guilty because the mother's forgiven. And then later on when she dug deep, I said there's been some loyalty issues involved. And she's like, no. And she was the youngest of the lot. Cut to after 3 weeks, I get a message from the same client that you were right. When I asked my sibling, she knew that there were some issues where my father cheated on my mom. We were too young, but my sister knew about it because she was like 14 years older. So sometimes the client may not really know what's coming through, but when they dig deep into the family history, they find out that there's certain truth or sometimes I tell clients that if you've lost a family member, they want to come through you as a child, as your baby, but you're with the wrong person. And they will not come through if you get married to this person. You have to go through a breakup. your parent does not approve of this relationship, you will meet someone during this period, and that's the person you're going to have a baby with, and that's when your parent or your spirit guides will come through. So there are so many, like, especially like when people are dealing with a lot of financial realities, say if they've lost a parent or a father, and then there's money at stake, a business at stake, there is guidance given, or when to sell a property, how much money needs to be given. People, like I've had clients like, all of a sudden everyone's asking for money. We don't know what our father owed them. So they come for that check.
Wow.
And then I take names and I'm like, yeah, this person your father owed, this person your father didn't own. So things like those, like I said, Kash, every client is different and so many different permutations and combinations.
What's been the most shocking? You can say multiple because I'm so intrigued by all these stories.
So it's been a while, but I had a client of mine and she'd lost a father and she was happily married. And the father kept telling her that join the business, start working, you're letting your career go to waste, you're letting your career go to waste, you're letting your career go to waste. And she was just chilling. And so I'm like, listen, this is the message. Finally, she started working. She started working with a partner, with a husband. And then the more she started getting involved in business and the numbers and the finance and the business expanded, she caught that her husband was having an affair with someone from whom he'd hired, someone who was working with him. And he also had a child from that lady. So he had a parallel family. And only when she went through financial records and bank statements.
Did she work it out?
So the father didn't directly give her that message, but father pushed her to kind of getting into that so the truth comes to surface.
Father was a spirit guide at this
The
point.
father was a spirit guide.
Wow. I got told by an astrologer once that I had a blessing in my chart from my maternal grandmother. Mm-hmm. So I know spirit guides, you mentioned they can come and assist you in your life and help you. Can they give you blessings?
Of course, because again, the good, bad, ugly karma gets carried forward, right? So of course, our ancestors, even what we do, what we accumulate in our life, Kash, gets passed on to our children. Like I get my psychic gift from my maternal grandmother. She's so well read. I remember when I was 9, 10, every time I would go and spend time with her, I would have access to Osho's cassette recordings and books. Like at the age of 10, I had access to that. And then that got passed on to my mother. And then maybe when I was in my mother's womb, I don't know what she was listening to and studying, and somewhere that gift had opened up for me.
Can bad karma also travel down?
Absolutely.
So if a father's been unfaithful,
it will show up in your child's life.
As a toxic relationship?
It can show up as a toxic relationship. It can show up as betrayal. It can show up as a toxic financial reality.
Oh, wow.
So it can show up as anything, but it will show up.
And I think what I'm most fascinated by my discussion with you has been like, you're saying it will show up. On a scientific level, we can understand how it can show up, right? Limiting beliefs, attachment styles, things like that. But you're saying also karmically,
it will show up. And no one can really pinpoint how it will show up, because look at this. If I have to do math, there are 9 billion people existing on Earth right now, approx. 9 billion raised to the power of 9 billion, those are the permutations and combinations of belief systems and emotional reactions and karmic reality and choices of free will. So 9 billion raised to the power of 9 billion multiplied by 4 is the permutations and combinations. For example, like the example that I gave you about a woman who was sexually abused with her brother, that anger, that bitterness, that negative emotion manifested in form of breast cancer. But that same emotion of negativity, that same emotion of sexual abuse can show up to a woman turning lesbian, where she says that I hate men and I have anger towards men, and she may physically get more attracted to women because that makes her feel safe.
wow.
And then the same emotion can show up in form of fear of penetration. And that same emotion can show up in form of attracting an impotent or asexual partner where she knows that she feels safe because the man's not going to touch her. So do you see that same experience
Can show up in many
can
ways.
show up in different ways?
On one final note, what's one piece of wisdom or advice if there was everything else got taken away in terms of what you know, but there was one thing you could keep behind to share with everyone else in the world? What would that be?
You are much more powerful than you think you are. I think we'll end up giving so much of power, our personal power, away to people, waiting for people to change, waiting for external to change so that our reality will change. But people forget that you only have the power to change your reality. And when that changes, that will create a ripple effect in your reality.
I love that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tamanna.
Thank you, Kash, for having me.
How can people find out more about working with you, more about what you offer, all of this other stuff?
Instagram. I'm extremely active on Instagram. My website for personal sessions, if they ever want to book a personal session, www.drtamanna.ca. And I'm based out of Dubai. So if you're in Dubai, I meet people for personal sessions. Otherwise, I do Zoom calls all across the globe. So,
Perfect.
yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.